right now on SAU Weekly, Under Pressure.
The reality is we have to get to work.
How efforts from state and federal lawmakers to cut diversity, equity, and inclusion programs could put university funding at risk.
Our work in diversity, equity, and inclusion is rooted in our mission and in our values.
How SAU is responding, plus closing its doors.
That kind of community isn't replicable anywhere else.
The university announces the closure of a longtime campus resource. And in sports, Dowda's determination.
Had some setbacks, but I'm glad to be here now.
How one track and field athlete overcame the odds to punch his ticket to nationals. Your latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University starts right now.
Welcome to this edition of SAU Weekly, your source for the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University. I'm Emmett O'Brien.
And I'm Ross Willarth.
Despite ongoing efforts to keep it running, the university has announced that the SAU Children's Campus will close its doors in June. The Children's Campus provides childcare for the SAU community and the general public for children between the ages of 6 weeks through 6 years old. In a statement to the university, SAU President Amy Novak states, "The rising costs associated with running the center have made it financially unsustainable for the university to continue its operation." The announcement presents challenges for many in the SAU community that have utilized their childcare services for many years.
But the biggest advantages have been, proximity, It's right here. It's very convenient for, I have a meeting and then I can go immediately pick my children up, or I can drop them off and come immediately to work. And community, It's a community that has a lot of people who are involved in St. Ambrose in other ways as well.
While early childhood education majors could gain practical experience at the Children's Campus, a review of student use determined it was only used minimally. Those who utilize their care will need to find alternatives for childcare before they close their doors on June 20th.
In 1987, Congress dedicated the month of March to honoring women's history and their contributions to our country. But 2025 will be the first year since 1987 that Women's History Month is not federally observed. Earlier this year, President Trump signed an executive order that excluded 11 cultural and identity observances from being celebrated. Women's History Month was among them.
There would be no need for these, months or weeks or days if everyone was fully acknowledged in general history courses. And I think that if you don't teach those subjects, then people make assumptions about what things were like. And often that means a really antiquated view. 50% of what happened in history happened to women.
Stay tuned to the end of the newscast for how SAU is recognizing women's history.
Following an executive order from President Donald Trump, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the nation are facing strict legislation, putting the purpose of these programs under a microscope. Now the Iowa legislature is following suit with the HSB 60, a bill that would eliminate DEI offices at private universities, putting a devoted SAU department in the crosshairs. SAU Weekly's Jessica Vargas has more.
HSB 60, a recent bill brought forth by Iowa lawmakers, is putting diversity, equality, and inclusion programs at private universities in the spotlight. Students who benefit from our own office here at SAU say it's important to know what the true purpose of DEI actually is.
DEI ensures inclusivity for everybody. It's not just for one group, it's quite literally for everybody, and it's very welcoming.
We are mainly just like a resource for any kind of student to come and just feel like they have a place here, and also just bring awareness of maybe people who don't feel like they have a place here, and just be like, look, we support you, we're here for you, you have a place here.
With federal regulations likely to pass soon, Associate Vice President Ryan Sadler is focused on continuing his commitment to SAU while still following the law.
The reality is we have to get to work and really look at how do we continue to be there for our students that we've always been there for.
Sadler does not want to lose sight of the office's main purpose.
To continue to allow students to live out their God-given dignity and worth. To acknowledge the fact that students are human beings regardless of their social location, regardless of their race, regardless of how they identify themselves, that students, we still have something in place that students feel as if they can go to that place to ensure that they know they belong here.
With SAU Weekly, I'm Jess Vargas.
Thanks, Jess. Failure to comply with federal and state legislation could lead to a loss of funding for private colleges and universities.
So what does this mean for SAU? In this week's What's the Buzz, Grant Ward sits down with SAU President Amy Novak to discuss the university's response.
Thanks, guys. Joining me now is SAU President Dr. Amy Novak. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity to visit with you today.
Of course. So let's get things started. Things are changing rapidly at the state and federal level, but let's rewind a bit. How exactly did we get to HB 60 and other legislation that targets DEI programs and grant funding?
So great question. There's actually there's two larger conversations here. One is at the state level, which you're referring to in HB 60, and then there's some federal directives that we've also been given. And so I'm going to start at the state level. Last year, the state legislature voted in some particular legislation that restricted DEI offices at public and regental institutions. So any community college, any state institution in the state of Iowa who received Iowa tuition grant funding. And so that decision sort of ricocheted into this year's session and now has an impact on all private institutions who also receive Iowa tuition grant funding. So we know that, upwards of 500 to 600 of our students here at St. Ambrose are recipients of Iowa tuition grant funding, so this is very concerning to us. We would not want to lose that funding. I think when we talk about generally just the situation with diversity, equity, and inclusion offices, in many respects there was an outcry by many of the legislators in Iowa that those types of acronyms, those statements really reflected a certain political ideology. Unfortunately, St. Ambrose got caught in the middle of that, not because we were promoting a particular ideology, but because we used that language to describe the work of student success. I mean, fundamentally, the work that happens in our DEI office is supporting students with differing abilities. It's providing accommodations for students who may have a variety of learning challenges that they face. It's also supporting students who are first generation. It is also supporting students of color and their attempts to secure a college degree. So there's a lot within our DEI. It was always around student success. It has never been around promoting a particular ideology. That being said, we know we're likely to have to do some changes in that space.
Absolutely. Well, I know for sure that there have been talks about how DEI really goes into Ambrosian values, courage, justice, wisdom, and service. Can you go ahead and elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so I think at our founding, right, we're an institution that was founded in the belief that, Jesus Christ's life, death, and resurrection is a model of love, and a love of all people. And so as a Catholic institution, we root ourselves in the life and teachings of Jesus, the teachings of St. Ambrose of Milan. who was always serving people on the margins, right? So people who, Jesus served the tax collector, he served the Samaritan woman, he worked with the prostitute, he engaged with people who were very unlike himself. And so we take those same values into our education and we say we are a place that welcomes people of all backgrounds. We want to support their success in achieving a degree. We believe we should act with courage in confronting complex issues in our world. And then we want to approach that from a lens of wisdom informed by our Catholic intellectual tradition, of a commitment to justice, and a commitment to service.
Absolutely. Well, kind of going off of education, you have said that this legislation will not impact our current curriculum or student groups, but as you said, certain efforts might have to be adjusted. Can you walk us through what some of those adjustments may be?
Yeah, so in looking at the language of this legislation, it does not suggest that we have to change what might be taught in a specific class, right? And so we will continue to offer our courses as they're currently designed. We do know that we in the past, at the federal level, there's some language that suggests we may need to adjust the naming of some of our scholarships. It won't impact students. I mean, we're going to make sure they're awarded the same amount. It just might be in the name of that scholarship. So for example, some of our students receive what's called a minority scholarship, and that might need to be just changed in name simply because of the federal directive. Organizationally, we may not be able to have an Office of DEI as described, in our current organizational structure, but we will continue to have those key staff members employed in supporting the success of all students through a variety of initiatives in our retention area, our Accessibility Resource Center, and we'll continue to be able to support our student groups across campus who might align around particular areas, in part because those groups are open to all students. So regardless, any of our student organizations are open to all students.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what steps will the university take to really maintain those SAU core values while still allowing our involvement in the Iowa Tuition Grant Program?
Right. So we're just really reminding people that our work in diversity, equity, and inclusion is rooted in our mission and in our values of courage, wisdom, justice, and service. And when you unpack those values, we talk about being a place that is welcome and open to people of all backgrounds. So we're really just rooting this work in our mission, in our vision, in our core values. And we believe that part of that is wanting to ensure students succeed and persist to graduation. And so we will just reposition people and their work in our offices that are supporting that student success.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen some of that work that you guys have been doing. All of the offices on campus have definitely been working together to kind of develop and create more of a system that can move forward throughout these times.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to say that I think all of our faculty and staff are committed to honoring the legislation, but also recognizing that this is work we want to make sure continues. We want to be able to support students who have accessibility needs. We want to be able to support students who are coming from diverse backgrounds. We're going to support all of our students. That's our commitment. And so our faculty and staff will remain focused on doing that as we move forward.
Well, speaking of faculty and staff, kind of going to a different university, there have been talks about creating a group with Mount Mercy University focused on aligning efforts towards student success. And then there have also been talks about creating an Office of Mission Integration. How can these help alleviate any concerns with current and future policies and legislation?
Absolutely. Well, I think one of the realities is two Catholic universities are coming together. We have a whole lot that's alike, right? And so, but there's some things that are different. So at Mount Mercy, as an example, they have what are called 5 critical concerns of the Sisters of Mercy. One of those is immigration, another is racism, another is poverty, another one is women, and another is the environment. And so as part of their educational framework, they introduce students to those particular critical concerns. At St. Ambrose, we have our theology and philosophy classes that are also introducing students to a variety of Catholic social teaching as well as our Catholic intellectual tradition. We need to bring both of those together. And we believe we can bring the best of both, right, together under an Office of Mission Integration. And the goal of that is to really help our students see the many ways in which our own Catholic tradition allows us to lift people up and to really do the work of strengthening our communities and strengthening one another and respecting the human dignity of every person. And so once we have that sort of work assembled, we can then easily put under that the work of student success, the work of giving opportunity to students, the work of forming holistic experiences for students. So we're able to just, I think, frame our work and narrate it through our lens of our Catholic identity better. And that way we can ensure we're never caught up in these, political polarizing debates, that we're really just living into our mission.
Absolutely. Well, I actually heard that there was a staff meeting earlier, a Q&A forum, that really put the staff together so that they could answer their own questions and there could be a full open discussion. How did the forum help alleviate worry and address issues affecting the St. Ambrose community?
I think one of the things that when you have a lot of legislation, we have a lot of executive orders, we just have a lot of political policy making coming at us, right? And so there's always questions about how does that impact me and does that change my work? And so this was really just an opportunity for people to be able to ask questions and to really, to the best of our ability, answer those for what we know right now. We know that will continue to change, that the legislation may be, face court injunctions, they may face a variety of lawsuits, but as it stands, where do we stand and how are we positioned? And how do we make sure that our faculty and staff know how to support our students, right? And that was fundamentally, one of the big questions that we talked about is how do we reassure students that they're going to be supported in this transition? So it was good. We will working with our student governments, both at the graduate and undergraduate level, to have 2 student forums in the next week to 10 days. And so we'll be able to take questions from students at that time too.
Yeah, that's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
I was honestly wondering about that myself.
Yeah, so I just met with student government leadership today at 1 o'clock and just said I'd love to be able to have a forum with our students. So I know they're going to be working with student clubs and organizations to really discern when the best time that is, and we'll have that scheduled. I know I asked for it to be in the next 7 to 10 days, so I'm hopeful that in the near future we can have that scheduled.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
No, so thanks again for being here, Dr. Novak.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to share some insights on this topic.
Of course. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Grant. Coming up in sports, the road to nationals. How one track and field senior punched his ticket to compete with the best.
Plus, round 1. SAU men's basketball returns to the CCAC tournament.
Join SAU Weekly's Ryan Schistel as he takes you inside SAU athletics. Stay tuned.
Whether you're a competitive runner, looking to stay fit, or just looking for comfort and support, Running Wild has you covered. Locally owned for more than 3 decades, Running Wild is the Quad City's trusted source for athletic wear and accessories. No matter your experience level, we'll help you find the right fit with all the top brands for running and walking and the latest in running apparel. Open 7 days a week, just up Brady Street. Don't walk, run to Running Wild, your run specialty store.
Visit Ragged Records, one of the largest record stores in the Midwest. Browse more than 30,000 new and used records, from timeless classics to new releases, and rare finds in every aisle. New to collecting vinyl? Check out our large selection of stereo equipment to spruce up your listening experience. Find your groove at Ragged Records, located along Motor Row in Davenport and in Rock Island next to Roz Talks.
Tune in to KALA and hear something different. Programming that celebrates the diversity of our listeners. We're advocates for the arts, showcasing your favorite music from around the world. We're storytellers, producing award-winning news and educational podcasts. We're dedicated sports fans, bringing you the latest Fighting Bee action from St. Ambrose University. We're a learning lab, mentoring the next generation of broadcasters and content creators. A part of your community for 5 decades. We're KALA Radio, 88.5 FM and 106.1 FM. Turn it on and turn it up.
Capture a piece of the past with Trash Can Annie, where vintage meets vibrant in every stitch. Browse our carefully curated collection of clothing and accessories ranging from the late 1800s to current styles. Dress to impress with Laura's unique style and wardrobe consultations. Find a style and make it yours with Trash Can Annie, your destination for timeless fashion.
On Saturday, the SAU women's basketball team played their final game of the regular season, while also saying farewell to the seniors of the team. The Bees faced off against the Trinity Christian College Trolls in a CCAC game. We start in the first quarter. Olivia Harder passes off to Caitlin Thole on top, who then finds Peyton Calouette down low for the layup. The Bees are up 9-3. Shortly after, it's Abby Walter who drives inside, but she passes out to Calouette, who then finds Caitlin Thole driving to the baseline. She extends the lead for the Bees. The Bees aren't finished, however, as Peyton Calouette finds Carrie-Ann Hungate down low for an easy score. With the energy high in Lee Loman Arena, it's the captain's turn. Abby Walter drives and lays it in with her right hand. In the end, the women's basketball team won in dominating fashion by a score of 78-42. Following the women's game, the men's basketball team was in a must-win situation for the regular season finale. We start in the second half with the Bees already trailing the Trolls. To start it off, Guillermo Narbona pulls down the defensive rebound and drives the ball up the court. Narbona kicks out to a wide-open Atim Agat, who rattles home the corner three. Just like that, we're tied at 51. As the Bees are looking to build momentum in the second half, a give-and-go inbounds play works for the team. Ignacio DeCunda adds 2 more points to the Fighting Bees score. Looking to add to their lead again, it's Will Spriggs. Spriggs drives through contact and lays it in with his right hand on his senior day. As we go to the closing seconds of the game, despite a buzzer beater, the Bees held on to win 78-72. They clinched the final seed of the conference tournament. The Fighting Bees tournament ended in the CCAC quarterfinals, however. The Bees went on the road, falling 65-59. Ignacio DeCunda led the way for the Bees, scoring 12 points while adding 9 rebounds and 2 assists. He also had 2 blocks and steals. After almost 2 weeks off, the men's volleyball team hit the court once again. On Monday night, the men's volleyball team opened conference play with a home match against Viterbo. We start in the second set, where it's junior Charlie Flynn, who has a strong finish at the net on the kill. Later in the set, the Bees earn another point off strong passing and a powerful back row hit. To the defense we go for St. Ambrose, as Viterbo had a very good scoring opportunity, but Pedro Zhang plays brilliant net defense to stop the V-Hawks. The Bees would go on to win 3-2. They also won on Wednesday against Trinity Christian 3-1. Last season, the SAU women's lacrosse team fell short in the conference championship game. Now, with a squad filled with some new faces, it's looking to get back in action and fight their way back to the conference championship, this time ending in the Bees' favor. The Bees take the field this Friday in their regular season opener against 6th-ranked Missouri Baptist. The girls are looking to start off the season on the right foot, boasting 7 strong returners looking to command their team to victory.
My main goal is obviously to have fun, but most importantly, to keep a positive record. We expect a lot from our team, and I feel as though we will have a very good season.
I hope to see the same gameplay that we had last year with a little bit of an edge that we've been practicing. Our defense has been top-notch. Same with our offense. The skills that we've had in practice has been absolutely amazing. The girls have been working extremely hard, so I'm just excited to see that.
For the full story, head on over to SAU TV on YouTube to hear more from the team about their upcoming season. 2 weekends ago, senior Will Dowda qualified for 2 events in the NAIA National Indoor Track Meet. Will is running in the distance medley relay and the mile with the Bees down in Gainesville, Florida. SAU Weekly's Ross Willerth brings us to the indoor track for more on Dowda's road to nationals.
This year, many Fighting Bees hopped on a plane and made their return to the indoor track national meet. For senior Will Dowda, it's his first time.
I wasn't expecting it, so I'm kind of just excited to be there and have fun racing. No expectations, just have fun.
While Will is finding great success this year, it was not always this way.
During COVID, I started working pretty hard to be at where I am now. It took a long time coming. Got injured along the way and had some setbacks, but I'm glad to be here now.
To achieve these levels of success, Will has a mindset that's been passed down from former Fighting Bees.
If you're not having fun while doing it, why even be here? I think that's carried over for like everything. Just finding the fun and positivity and being at practice every single day, and the fun of being on the line and giving it your all.
No matter the outcome at nationals, Will sees the indoor season as a precursor to the outdoor season.
Indoor season's like a good kind of warm up to outdoor season. This is where we put in a lot of our work and then we see a lot of the work outdoor season.
With SAU Weekly, I'm Ross Willard.
Great work, Will, and good luck to all of our athletes down in Florida. That'll do it for Inside SAU Athletics. I'm Ryan Schistel.
And that's all we have for you on this edition of SAU Weekly. We'll be back next week with the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University.
Remember to check out the SAU TV Facebook and Instagram pages for our newscasts, top stories, and more. You can also find them on The Hive at sauthebuzz.com.
And to usher in Women's History Month, we asked SAU students to name their favorite woman in this week's campus question. Thanks for watching.
Okay, for Women's History Month, name your favorite woman.
I'm going to say Amanda Boner. She's like just a really fun personality. She's a great teacher. She knows how to teach, and one of my favorite biology teachers.
I would say my favorite woman would be Serena Williams because she's like a queen. She's so cool.
I would say my favorite woman would be my grandma because I learned so much from her.
My favorite woman is Annie Clark from, she's a singer-songwriter also known as St. Vincent.
I love Lisa Timms and my mother.
And your mom. I'll add my mom in too. Yeah, my mom's pretty cool.
My favorite woman is my mom because she's always just been there for me all throughout my life, and she always has my back whenever I need somebody.
My favorite woman is Kim Kardashian because I love her clothing.
Well, I'm definitely not going to say Kim Kardashian. I guess I have to say my mom and my grandma. I can't choose one over the other.